Okay, we're going to make a stained glass vise out of a drill press vise. The first thing we need to do is figure out how not to have our glass sit down on this uneven surface. So we'll look after that first. Alright, what we're going to do is move this jaw over to the nice surface. Now this gap right in here measures about a half an inch. So anything a half inch wide or a little bit larger, a little bit bigger will work. Now I'm a metal worker, so I have a lot of metal around, but not too much wood. You could make it out of wood if you wanted. It doesn't need to be all that strong. So I have found this 5/8 by 5/8 piece of metal, and it's 4 inches long, and that's going to be perfect because that's how long the jaws are. Now, in order to get the holes in that in the correct places, I can just take the existing old jaw and mark those positions. Now, I'm going to have to drill some holes, and once the holes are drilled, we'll be able to mount that right on here like so, and of course we'll now need some longer screws. So I'll check what I have for those size screws and we'll be right back. I've mounted my 5/8 piece on here with this screws I'm going to use through the holes and into the vise. So I've now cut 2 pieces of metal. They're 4 inches long and 3 inches wide. And what I'm going to do is drill some holes in this that the screws can go through the holes in this and that and into the back of the vise. So to get an idea where I'm going to do that, I'm going to run this pen across the top of my 5/8 piece. And we've made a line on there now, so I know approximately where the top of this piece is. Now I've taken my 5/8 square piece and lined it up to the line that I made on that extended jaw. I'm going to hold this in place and use a transfer punch to mark the spots where the holes are. And we've got a couple of good marks there. All right. Those are 5mm screws, at least on this vise. And the screws that are in there have a bevel head like this. So I have found a couple of screws that have the beveled head. This won't do. It has to look like the one that I just showed you, like this one. These are a little bit long, but we should be able to get an accurate reading across these to figure out exactly what our center distance is. So we're 2.5 inches across there, and the diameter of one of these screws is 190 thousandths. Now I've already figured that out. So 2.5 inches minus the 190 thousandths is going to give you 2 inches 313 for a center distance across here. That's in inches. 2 inches 313. And we have to put holes in our 5/8 piece that are that far apart. I've already done that. We just took our 5/8 piece, and you saw that I used this for a template. We put the 2 holes in here. The holes are definitely bigger than the diameter of these screws, just in case we don't get them exactly in the right spot. It's not fussy. Make the holes a little bigger than the screws and you'll be good. So now we're going to mount this on there, and we're going to shorten these screws. Now the screws need to be 300 thousandths of an inch shorter. So we've marked that with that little red nut right there. That's just about where we want to cut them off. And I do that with a hacksaw blade. Now when you're hacksawing a thread, it's always a good idea to have a nut on there. But another good idea is now you saw the way I put that down like that? That forces the metal down. Putting it up would force it the wrong way and clog the next thread. And you can do this and apply this method on a grinding wheel as well as a belt sander. And if you had forgotten to put the nut on, doing that would probably just cure the problem of it possibly sticking when you're trying to get that nut back off again. We've taken the plate with our 2 holes in it. And as you can see, I put 1 screw in already, and we countersunk the holes so that the head of the screw will go in all the way in and not be sticking out past the plate. Now I'll install those. So here's our solid jaw. Screws are in, spacers in, and as a bonus, we're looking pretty square here too. That's not bad. We can live with that. So now all we're going to need to do is put our other jaw onto this part here. So we have another plate, 2 holes to drill. We're not going to go do that on camera because we just did the first one, and we'll be back after we get that second plate mounted. All right, here's our sliding jaw, and we can put the other plate on it, and we can use the original screws that came out of that sliding jaw to hold the second plate in place. Don't know for sure if yours will be 5 millimeters, but I have a feeling that all these vices came from the same place, probably China, and they're probably all the same. But there's our second jaw, and now we just have to reassemble our vise, put things back together. I cut some pieces of foam about a 1/2 inch thick, 4 inches long, 3 inches high, and I sprayed one side of the pieces of foam with a spray glue. Then I mounted them on the 2 steel pads and I closed the vise on them. And we're going to see if we can cut those off nice and smooth with a hacksaw blade. Well, not too bad. A little bit of problem right at the end there, but that's not bad. So I don't want to open that right now until that glue dries, but once your glue is dry, you're ready to go. Open that up and put your glass in, and you have a stained glass vise. All right, the glue is dry. We have one thing left to do. I have a piece of weather stripping here that I'm going to lay across the bottom for the glass to sit on. Now this has a peel-off backing, so it already has something sticky on there. If you choose to use foam, like this foam, that's fine. Maybe a little spray glue on there just to hold it on there. We'll put that right in, and it sticks to the vise. And I don't have a piece of glass handy, but let's say that's a piece of glass. And you can tighten up on that now. You wouldn't normally have it open that far, so it doesn't take long at all to clamp it up. You can clamp it up in 2 or 3 turns. So as you can see, we're tightening up on that, and that's plenty tight enough to hold a piece of glass while you work on it. If you'd like to be notified of other new modifications, please click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.